Sometimes you get a question that sits right at that weird intersection of, well, morbid curiosity and applied physics. It sounds almost like a joke at first, but when you really start to break it down, the answer reveals some pretty terrifying scientific principles. Okay, let's get into it.
So, this whole thing, it actually came from a question sent in by a viewer named Jake. And it's one of those thoughts, isn't it? One of those what ifs that seems totally ridiculous at first glance, but the physics involved are anything but. So, for Jake, and for anyone else who's ever wondered, let's map out exactly what would happen step by pretty agonizing step.
Okay, so before we dive in, we just need to get a few things straight. We're setting up the ground rules for this thought experiment. Yeah, we are not talking about some cartoon character getting comically spun around and then stumbling out, all dizzy with little birds circling their head. No, we are talking about a real, modern, front-loading washing machine. The door is locked, the cycle has started, and there are no interruptions. This is all about the physics. It's an analysis of forces, pressures, temperatures, and acoustics, and what they do to the human body. The machine itself is just a system. We're going to explore what happens when a person becomes an unintended variable inside that system.
So let's start at the beginning. We think of a washing machine as this helpful household appliance, but for our purposes today, it's way more accurate to think of it as a motorized pressure vessel. It is a machine engineered with one single purpose: to destroy the structural integrity of dirt through extreme mechanical and chemical stress. It's a system designed for a task, not for a person. And this is the first brutal reality you'd face, the immediate constraint of space. The inside of a washing machine drum is deceptively small. We're talking about a space that forces a full-grown adult into the fetal position. Your spine is bent, your neck is curved, your limbs are all jammed together. There's no way to brace yourself, you can't reposition to protect your head. So from the very first second, before the machine even turns on, you're already in a compromised and incredibly vulnerable position.
Okay, so here's where we hit the first big misconception. When you think about being trapped in a washing machine, your mind probably jumps straight to drowning. But that's not actually the first or even the most likely threat you'd face. See, front-loading machines are super water efficient. They don't fill all the way to the top. They just use enough water to soak whatever's inside. So your head would probably be above the waterline, at least at first. You could breathe. The real danger here is the temperature. If this machine happened to be set on a sanitized cycle that water could get up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit, that's about 65 degrees Celsius. In that tiny enclosed space, the air would become a superheated, steam-filled environment really fast. The water isn't going to drown you, it's going to cook you. The whole situation is less like a bath and more like a human-sized autoclave. And then the detergent gets added. And this is where a simple cleaning agent becomes a chemical weapon. Detergents are what we call surfactants. Their whole job is to break down oils. Well, your skin is protected by oils. Your eyes and the delicate membranes inside your lungs are not. So as this chemical-laced water starts splashing around, every single breath you take becomes painful. You can still get oxygen, but every inhale would feel like breathing in fire.
All right, so now the drum starts to move. The initial wash phase isn't fast at all. It's this slow, deliberate rotation, just a few turns per minute. But this slow tumble is really deceptive. It's not violent, but it is relentless. See, the machine is just running its program, which is designed to methodically grind dirt out of fabric through constant friction and impact. And that program has no idea you're not a pair of jeans. Think about it. With every slow turn, you're lifted up and then dropped. You're being slammed over and over against hard metal surfaces. Your head hits the wall, then your shoulder, then your hip. And because you're all curled up, you're also smashing into your own knees and elbows. These aren't knockout blows, and in a way, that's almost worse. They're a continuous, cumulative series of impacts that cause bruises, twist joints, and just completely disorient you. Your inner ear loses all sense of up and down, which would trigger severe nausea. And this is a really crucial point. You're battered, scalded, chemically burned, completely disoriented, but you're still conscious. This is the absolute final moment where anyone could even imagine escaping. Because after this moment, physics just takes the wheel, and it's not friendly. Now we get to something that, honestly, most people would never even think about. The sound. In this state of pure panic and pain, what's the natural human reaction? To scream. And inside this environment, that is a catastrophic mistake. So what does happen?
Sound behaves very differently in a small, hard, enclosed space like this. It doesn't just go away, it reflects and it builds. So, your own scream, which is already incredibly loud at around 120 decibels, slams into those curved metal walls and just bounces right back at you. But you're still screaming, right? So the new sound waves overlap with the reflected ones. It's a phenomenon called constructive interference. The waves literally stack on top of each other, amplifying the sound into a continuous wall of pressure. The sound pressure level inside that drum could actually exceed 180 decibels. I mean, just look at this chart. That first bar, 120 decibels, that's where pain begins. The second, at 140, that's enough to rupture your eardrums. But look at that third bar. At over 170 decibels, we're not even talking about sound anymore. It becomes a physical shockwave, a pressure front powerful enough to cause internal organ damage. Your own screams would first deafen you and then literally begin to vibrate you apart from the inside. And just when you think it can't get any worse, after all of that, the machine kicks into its final and most violent stage, the spin cycle. This is the point where the scenario transitions from just horrific to unequivocally fatal. The numbers here are just staggering. A modern machine can spin at up to 1,600 RPM. This generates a centrifugal force of around 400 Gs. To put that in perspective, fighter pilots train to withstand maybe 9 Gs, and they need special suits to even do that. 400 Gs is an absolutely unsurvivable amount of force. So at this speed, you're not tumbling around anymore. Not even close. You are pinned against the wall of the drum with this immense pressure. This force compresses your chest so powerfully that your ribs cannot expand, your diaphragm can't move. It's a state known as positional asphyxia. There's plenty of air in the drum, but you are physically incapable of inhaling it. The machine is just doing its job, squeezing the water out, and by doing that, it's literally squeezing the air out of you. And here's the really cruel twist of the physics here. Your body's own survival instinct, that primal urge to breathe, it works against you. Your brain is sending these frantic signals to your lungs to try harder, to fight for air, but it's physically impossible. So you're conscious, you're pinned, you can't breathe, and your brain is just screaming at you to try, all while being subjected to this crushing force. So let's circle back to Jake's original question. Would it just be uncomfortable or would it kill you? Well, even if someone heard the banging and managed to shut the machine off mid-cycle, the chances of survival are statistically 0. The combination of blunt force trauma, severe oxygen deprivation, internal bleeding, and shock would just be too much for the body to overcome. And that really gets to the heart of this whole thing. The washing machine isn't malicious. It's not trying to hurt you. It's dangerous because it's an optimized, indifferent system. It's designed to perform a function with maximum efficiency, and it assumes no living variables. The moment you're inside, you just become part of that function, and the system doesn't negotiate. So really, the takeaway here isn't about being afraid of washing machines. It's about how so many of the safe, everyday systems all around us are safe only because we interact with them in the exact way they were designed. The moment we don't, they reveal themselves to be unyieldingly, indifferently powerful. So with that thought, if you have a question like Jake's, one that sounds absurd but has you genuinely curious about the science behind it, leave it in the comments. We'd genuinely like to hear it.